Watch.
We're at the Showboat Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, and this is one of the playgrounds where games of chance are in the spotlight. High stakes and high rollers. In the very same building, bowling is king. High stakes is 5 bowlers have a shot at the winner's prize of $100,000. ABC Sports presents live in its 27th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour. We're in Atlantic City, New Jersey for the finals of the Seagram's Coolers United States Open. Here is our field of 5. Fifth seeded, he won the 1982 United States Open title from Milwaukee, Oregon, Dave Husted. His opponent in the first game is the runner-up in last year's Open, the defending Firestone champion, Pete Weber. In the second match is the biggest man in our field from Garden Grove, California, Mark Baker. In the semifinal game, last year's PBA Rookie of the Year from Elmira, New York, Ryan Shafer. And our tournament leader has won 2 United States Open crowns. PBA Player of the Year, Marshall Holman. That's our field today on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a timeless wonder. The Hardwood Boardwalk in dear old beloved Atlantic City. Perhaps you are a part of this crowd that was taped some time ago, but it hasn't changed a lot. It's still a nostalgic walk. The skyline has changed, though. Hotels like the Showboat, which is the scene today. Finals of the $500,000 Seagram's Coolers United States Open. Huge crowd, capacity crowd looking on. Adjacent and a huge lunch for the pros that has taken place earlier. We'll tell you more about it later. I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted you joined us. The Bowling Proprietors Association of America and Seagram's Coolers. Hope you'll enjoy the show, and I know you will, because we have 5 wonderful young men, 5 great bowlers. They are bowling for a total of $220,000 live this afternoon. The winner will receive $100,000. Immediately following this telecast, it's ABC's Wide World of Sports. Today, the grueling Baja 1000, the Grand National Steeplechase, and a look at a championship fight, Holyfield against De Leon. In 1978, my colleague Nelson Burton Jr. won the United States Open, and I'm anxious to find out how much you won that day.
Well, Chris, 10 years ago, I won 1-0 less than that $100,000 they have today. It was $10,000, and back then I think there was even a little more prestige to the title. I think the guys have to look at the money today, but the U.S. Open has come a long way since the initial U.S. Open, what they called the All-Star, 1941. Johnny Cremins won that first tournament, and the man that won the All-Star tournament had the right to be called the world's champion for 1 year. Now, in 1971, the All-Star became the U.S. Open and joined the PBA Tour as one of its Triple Crown events. Mike Lemongello won that first event. Now, Johnny Cremins didn't bowl any 300 games in 1941, and the scores weren't very big. But this week, Mark Baker shot some scores that I believe you'll see some of today. Look at this 8-game set, the highest in U.S. Open history. 280, 279, 279, 247, 269, 279, 256, and 204, a fantastic 260-plus average. Unbelievable. We're going to see some of that today. Along with that, you have the pressure of bowling just 1 game for $100,000. Chris, there's a lot of money at stake in the other positions. Let's take a look at that prize fund before we get ready for action.
And there's the breakdown. In other words, a loser of our very first match coming up will have finished 5th, $15,000. Stepladder approach, as is our format, head-to-head. David Husted on the right in the red shirt will bowl first. He's from Milwaukee, Oregon, going against our great talent, 25-year-old Pete Weber. Pete has been in 5 major championships in a row. Here's Husted. And the 1982 United States Open winner. In Houston, Texas, Husted has opened with a strike. Now at the slim, trim Pete Weber, 5'7", 130 pounds. His first shot. He was second last year in the United States Open. A high hit gets a bad break in the very first frame, though.
Chris, Pete told me before we started the championship round he has to stay slow, and as he quickly goes for another ball, he needs to get the ball to the right of the 6 pin, slide it into the 7, to convert this spare. He's had to stay slow, but that can cause him to go high like that.
Wonderful try to convert that split, but to no avail, so it is an open frame as we replay this profile look.
5 times he's made the championship rounds in the last 5 majors. As you see the high backswing, his left arm pulling his left shoulder back, driving the right shoulder through, the good wrist action. Just a little soft with that shot. Let's see if he can recover in the 2nd frame.
What a rebound by the 25-year-old who won the 1987 Firestone Tournament of Champions. Son of Dick Weber, the legendary bowling professional, who is the host here and is watching the action. Now Husted looking for a double. Split broken up, leaving only the 10 pin.
Everybody was talking about the scores all week long. We're going to see some big scores today. And I think what they have to do with the tremendous pressure of the U.S. Open Championship and the big money is just loosen up a little bit, get those pins to fly around, and we're going to see some great pin action.
Dave Husted this year was 3rd in the Milwaukee Open. 2nd television appearance of the year, his 26th television appearance overall.
David with that just wonderful style, good all-around athlete, opens that backswing up, doesn't cup his wrist like many of the crankers, a good push away on that pivot step, the long follow-through. When you see David Husted come all the way up with his hand like he did on that follow-through, you know he's bowling well.
And the 27-year-old now has 2 strikes in 3 frames, has the lead by 11 as Weber is back up. He has a strike working, now shooting in the 3rd frame, can cut the lead with this shot.
Pete taking 1 of 3 re-racks he's allowed in each game of a championship match, taking a little more time. He said he's going to be a little bit slower today. He says he felt he's rushed himself too much in his last championship round appearance, and he's going to take some time, work on his concentration.
With his double, he now trails by only 1. We asked him earlier what it would mean winning the Open.
Well, the U.S. Open means to me is that it is one of the majors. It's one of our Triple Crowns, and I haven't won it yet, and I want to, but the $100,000 is a lot.
Well, his dad, when it was called the All-Star, won it 4 times. And in the era of the 50s, Don Carter won it equal number of times. So the great bowlers have won it.
Pete taking a little time. You know, he has an interesting spotting theory, Chris. He starts off spotting between the arrows, and as he takes each succeeding step towards the foul line, he lets his eyes drift in towards the foul line. In other words, he travels about 15 feet to the foul line. He brings his target in about 15 feet, and the point of release, it's right over the foul line he's spotting.
Pete has left the 4-pin in the 4th frame. You can sense the tension, and this is our very first match. Pete sticking a little bit at the line, looking down, a spare in the 4th frame. 2 pins separating these 2 great winners.
Is there some sort of problem?
Seagram's peach.
It's smooth, like your skin.
Wild berries.
Luscious, like your lips.
Come with me.
See, it's Seagram's golden. Sparkles, like your eyes. Anything for world peace.
Okay, so you love your car. Whoa, you're not going inside yet. The tires, the 4 round things underneath. There you go. Now, see that armor all protected? Wipe some of that stuff on the tires and bumpers. Okay, now get in the car and do the dash and the seats. You can do this. This is not rocket science. Now look at your car. Now go in the house and tell them how hard you worked. Go ahead. They don't know about Armor All. They'll buy it.
No big deal. It's a pain.
Oh, no, Carrie. It's called a Master Care car service.
Brakes, alignment, tune-ups.
The works. It's no big deal. And the 6-month or 6,000-mile warranty covers parts, labor, wherever they do Master Care service, from Seattle to Schnecksville.
Sounds right, this Master Care.
So right that fixing your car is no big deal.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. Master Care Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
Though we had high averages on the championship pair you're looking at now.
All week long, Chris. Synthetic lanes, plastic-type lanes. There's no wood in these lanes. The only time all year on ABC TV we use this type of lane. The oil pattern was fairly simple. The PBA oiled the lanes approximately 35 feet down the lane in a very light pattern, left to right. So there's not much of a build-up in the center, so the players pretty much get the ball reaction whichever way they throw it. And one of the keys is once a player gets zeroed on these plastic or synthetic lanes is that the lane doesn't change much like a wood lane. So once a player gets loose here, we'll get big scores, and I think that's the reason we saw them all week long. Now, David Husted leads by 2, strike up, 4th frame.
A very high hit, breaking sharply at the end, leaving the 3-6-10. Pressure. There's a lot of it here in this very first game.
Husted's ball drifts high, leaving the 3-6-10. And one thing to watch for is a high hit is usually caused by a player's inability to slide on these synthetic approaches. Husted ended up about 1 foot behind the foul line, didn't get the follow-through necessary, and went high.
It's like the 27-year-old gave us his answer to our question of what it would mean winning the United States Open.
Well, this is the second time we've bowled for $100,000 on top. The prestige of the U.S. Open is one thing, but I'd be a fool to say that if I wasn't thinking about the $100,000. I've made the top 5. I have a chance to win the tournament, and that's what I'm keying on right now. I got to win 4 games. I've done it before. Hopefully I can do it again today.
5th frame. Back in the pocket now on the left lane, the United States Open winner in 1982. Second last year, Pete Weber. And there is Pete's father. 29 PBA titles. Sort of everybody's hero.
Yes, he is the bowling host professional here at the Showboat Lanes, Atlantic City. Now his son up there, who is already one of the great players of all time, destined to be even greater. Trails by 2 pins, 5th frame.
Crossing over, leaving the 3-10 this time, second split that he's had to face here in the first match. Now the wrinkles in his brow, there it's all right, but after the shot, it becomes furrowed.
Chris, watch Pete's eyes as they drift up closer to the foul line. You see him look right down at the foul line as he releases the ball. He knows he threw it a little bit too slowly, needs to fit the ball between the 3 and 10 pins.
Ooh, what a worthwhile conversion that was. Coming in the 5th frame, converting the 3-10. How important, Bo.
So much to make those splits. It's like the ability to chip and putt well in your short game in golf. The same is true in bowling. As these players throw lots and lots of strikes, but you have to fill in the frames between to stay competitive in the matches. And I think what we're seeing here is what you picked up, Chris. It's just nobody's loose. The pressure of the U.S. Open, it shows on their eyes. Very tentative arm swings, not that snappy wrist action as they release the ball. And they're rolling the ball awfully slowly today. Need to pick up that speed.
And Bo, you know, that carries over into the crowd and to a father like Dick Weber, and even to commentators. The bigger the event, you sense the pressure. You get the feeling that you want all 5 to be in the top spot at the very end.
That's for sure. Now David Husted going for his first double has a strike up.
Another high hit, leaving the 3-6-9-10 on the right lane.
And what's happening with both these players is, especially David Husted, is not getting a full slide as he releases the ball on the right-hand lane. And without that, he doesn't get the extension as he comes through the shot, and the ball hooks about 3 feet too quickly. Can't control it, has been going high. Tough spare.
David Husted, who in the last game, the position game, defeated a close friend of his, Rick Manier, by 35 pins to move from 6th to 5th. That's always difficult, isn't it, going against head-to-head and a friend is involved.
I agree, Chris, and 56 games is a whole week's of action. But with all that money at stake, I'm sure that David was thinking of his treasury and not Manier's. Now, let's see if he can continue striking.
Mixing strike coming in the 7th frame of our very first game. More after this.
Great. But we wanted a Bud Light.
Bud Light!
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Now go get pizza.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
What you doing?
Hi, garage sale.
Garage sale? My lucky hat.
Moving means making lots of decisions. That's why Ryder helps you with our free Move It Yourself guide.
This came all the way from Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe a Hawaiian will buy it.
It helps you handle everything, from picking the best truck, to packing your china, to planning your expenses.
It's going to be worth a lot of money, sweetie. What do you think?
Honey, can we talk about this?
Ryder. We're there at every turn.
On Wide World of Sports today, 625 miles, 300 entries in that dirt road race over the desert and mountain trails, Bo.
Chris, I love it, really. I tell you, to watch those cars get beat up, and there's a various amount of classes. As you look at our tournament leader, contemplating what he has to do about 50 minutes from now to hold on to that $100,000 first prize. Now, Pete Weber, up 7th frame, trails by 4 pins, can take the lead.
Heel of his right shoe off the approach, most of it, just enough to have a foundation. Okay, that may loosen Pete up a bit here in this very first game, and the winner will meet big Mark Baker of Garden Grove, California, followed by Rookie of the Year Ryan Shafer, and then Holman.
See Weber get a really nice slide within 3 inches of the foul line. He releases that ball in his slide. He didn't come to a stop and then release the ball. Had a little extra speed on that ball. Kept it light, sawed out the 5, and now he leads by 6 pins. Can extend to 16 with an additional strike here in the 8th.
Weighs 130 pounds on a 5'7" frame. The last 5 majors is now sort of getting into the groove, and he has a 3-bagger through 8 frames, 16-pin lead. But remember, Husted now with a strike up in the 7th, shooting in the 8th. Oh, this is a hard-fought battle. He'll take it. We all would, wouldn't we?
Chris, watch the action of the 2-pin. It goes to sideboard, takes out the 4, and watch the action of the 3-pin as it comes in and gets between the 6 and 10 pins. This is the shot that David Husted carried against Rick Manier in the 56th game last night to open the door and help him lock up that number 5 position. A great break at a critical time. Back and forth, Husted can now retake the lead on the lane he has not missed.
Waves to it like get lost, and I don't blame him because it's an awful looking 3, 4, 7, 9, 10.
All sorts of pins down there. 2 schools of thought. Throw the ball over here in the 6-10 zone, bounce them over towards the 4-7. I think that's the best way to do it. Let's see what happens. Not to be.
So Pete Weber opened with an open frame, converted to 310 in the 5th, and now in the foundation 9th. 171 through the 9th for Husted with 3 in a row, 9th frame, Pete Weber. There you see the heels. The result of consistency in an open frame leading by 35.
That was the key shot for Pete Weber. He put the lockjaws on David Husted with that last shot. David getting that open in the ninth frame. He had a possible 240 game until that open frame came along. Now the best he can shoot is 201. Pete Weber going at a 226 pace. Will lock it up with just a good count here and go against Mark Baker.
And groove very much now. He has strung 5. He now leading by 45. We'll have the final score for you when we come back, but Weber now will meet big Mark Baker. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Seagram's Coolers. This is where the fun starts. By Napa, all the right parts for all the right places. And by Armor All Protectants. It protects and beautifies every time you wash your car. We'll be back after this message and a word from our local station.
There's a level of performance that separates the good from the great. That's why Carmen Salvino designed the Ebonite Thunderbolt. The exclusive power core increases gyroscopic action for a sharper hook on heavy oil. And the Thunderbolt rolls farther before hooking, so it hits harder for less deflection and more striking power. The difference between good and great is the power of the Thunderbolt.
Scott once had a heart attack. Today, he had a son. Studies show aspirin helps reduce the risk of heart attacks. Ask your doctor about a regimen of exercise, the right foods, and Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
No big deal. Tune-ups?
It's MasterCare Car Service.
Great tune-ups with a computer that talks to your car.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. MasterCare Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
The first thing I read in the paper are the comics.
America's youth wants to know.
Do I have any tattoos?
Conversations with the presidents. Saturday.
Introducing Fab One-Shot Packs. A new way to get clean, soft, static-free clothes. All in one shot. Throw in your dirtiest clothes. Then toss in a Fab One-Shot Pack. From washer to dryer, clothes come out so clean, soft, and static-free, anyone can look like a pro. New Fab One-Shot Packs does it all in one shot.
Bowlers everywhere know the place to go for bowling equipment is Bowler's Supply. But did you know that Bowler's Supply has quite a selection of billiard tables and supplies, or that they can make any billiard table or top in the color and style of your choice? If not, stop in and see for yourself. And bowlers, be sure to ask about today's most popular balls on the tour, including Brunswick Rhino, Columbia UDOT, AMF Angles, and the new urethane hammers. All can be expertly fitted and drilled to your size. So for selection and service, visit Bowler's Supply, 401 Carlisle Avenue, York.
Watch Jim Morris on 27 News at 6.
In the United States Open at the Showboat in Atlantic City, the first game has ended. Pete Weber with 8 strikes, 245. David Husted, 201, $15,000. Mark Baker is Weber's opponent. Let's get better acquainted with Mark Baker. Up close and personal.
We have a different lifestyle. The sun's always out. I mean, there's so much to do. The kind of cars we drive. I personally have a 911 Porsche. It might be, extravagant, costs a lot of money, but it sure is fun to drive. Last year, I hurt my back and my ankle at the same time. My back went out from the pressures of bowling, all the games. My ankle was a whole high school injury from basketball. I was nominated to the McDonald's team back in '79, which seems a lifetime ago, but I wish we'd had that three-point rule they have in college now, because I'd have played somewhere. That three-point rule is a little short, so that'd have been to my favor. I was pretty much a gunner. And college just didn't work out. I didn't give it a whole 100%. The coach and I didn't see eye to eye. The next thing I knew, I was on the Pro Bowlers Tour, and I don't regret it. It's been a great life. In bowling, a lot of the guys aren't athletes. I'm an athlete. That's a big advantage. I never give up, and the desire to win.
Lovely young man. Mark Baker, Garden Grove, California, sunny California. My friend Gene Cady, the Purdue basketball coach, is here watching, and I'm sure he enjoyed the basketball reference. And he was a good one, a gunner, he said. There's Gene. Welcome him here. There's a big coaches conclave in Atlantic City. Had a great season. He is a tremendous leader of young men.
And Chris, the McDonald's All-Star basketball game is on ABC Wide World of Sports tomorrow, so it all kind of fits in. Now, Game 2, a red-hot Weber. He could mean trouble for the other three opponents.
But in the first frame of the first game, which turned out to be a victory, he had a problem. With a 4-6-7 now, what do we do, Bo?
He's just going for the 4-7, try to bounce one of the pins out, but more importantly, he's checking the approach. That's been the thing that has given the players the most trouble. It was the real undoing of David Husted the first match, and with these synthetic lanes, if there's one slight drawback the players have found is the approaches a change during the day. In other words, they may be a little slippery and a little sticky, so the player has to really be aware of that.
Baker. As big as he is, 6'4", 220 pounds, a powerful strike with his very first shot. So he is loose. He's had to wait for that first game. Now he's in the second.
Power, Mark Baker. Watch him roll that wrist underneath that ball. Big wrist action, high follow-through. Baker off to a quick start.
Double and a big soft chair. And Mark Baker. Okay, Weber now after an open frame. Shooting in the second. Took him a little while to get rolling, but about the sixth frame on, he came to life. Found the spot. Standing room only here at the Showboat Lanes. There's 60 total here in this entertainment complex. Very efficient spot. All right, second frame, and he's still working on the approach.
And one of the things to watch for here is that Weber is sticking a little bit at the foul line with that five-step delivery. And what you cannot do is put powder or anything on your shoes that will come off on the approach. It's absolutely against all PBA and American Bowling Congress rules to adjust the approach. If somebody does have trouble, say a league player, he would have to call the front desk, and then it would be the judgment of the house personnel whether the approach should be adjusted in any way. So, good tip there. Weber cannot put powder on his shoe. He must adjust his approach.
So, Pino had 8 strikes and a 245-201 victory in the first game, now has doubled. And Baker, who opened with a double, will be shooting in the third frame. His parents are here, father and stepmother, to see him compete in the United States Open. And he has a lot of fans in the crowd. You heard them ooh and ah when the 10-pin stood.
The first solid tap we've had today, Mark Baker leaves a solid 10. Changes balls to a little lower surface friction ball to convert the 10. He practices many times before we started on the air today, and once again the approach is his undoing. What happens when a player sticks on the approach, he does not wait for his arm swing, and it doesn't get all the way through the accuracy that he wants, and the ball always will go left of your target when you stick. You pull left, and that's what happened. We saw Husted go high a couple of times. Now we've seen Baker have some problems, so you have to adjust the approaches. The lane condition is perfect.
All but the 10-pin now on the left lane for Mark Baker, his first television appearance of 1988. Last year he was in 2. He won in Dublin, California, and he was third in the Southern California Open. 3 titles, 8 years as a pro.
All right, let's see if he can make the 10-pin this time, and he will still trail by 2 pins.
He did it. So we're in our second match, battling for the United States Open Championship in Atlantic City.
Let me get this straight.
You get 3 wishes.
Okay. Put me on a tropical island.
Nice. Now, how about
What a beautiful island woman.
Your third wish?
You've done plenty, my man. Make yourself the best Seagram's cooler ever.
Introducing Seagram's Island Tropics.
If I'm dreaming, don't wake me. You come here often?
It is no big deal.
It's a hassle.
Oh, it's called Master Care Car Service. Brakes, tune-ups, alignments. No big deal. The mechanics are great. All their equipment, you'd swear they were technicians. And they stand behind their work 6 months or 6,000 miles.
Master Care.
You're covered from Maine to Missoula. These guys are so good. Fixing your car is no big deal.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. Master Care Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
Next, the grueling challenge of the Baja 1000, plus the Grand National Steeplechase and a look at the Holyfield De Leon title bout on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Our longtime friend and host here at the Showboat, President and CEO Frank Modica, with Joe Antonora, Commissioner of the PBA.
Just a wonderful week. This started on Sunday with the practice session and Pro-Am. Then 56 games, 32 games qualifying, then 24 match play finalists in front of a capacity crowd in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, Pete Weber, who leads by 2 pins, has a double working, could extend his lead to 12 over Mark Baker, 4th frame.
Oh, I've noticed all of you great champions, including you jump on opportunities. You know, you've really come out of the chute winging them.
Well, that's very important, Chris, and as you see, Weber had that opportunity all week long, as he never really was out of contention. He was 24th and moved all the way up to 4th, 56 games in a major championship, such as the PBA National or the U.S. Open, and of course the Firestone, the third jewel of Bowling's Triple Crown, has 48 games. That will be on 2 weeks from now. Now Weber leads by 12, can make it 22.
Running that one out, almost into the bleachers, 25-year-old Pete Weber, who has 10 titles in a 9-year career. Strike percentage is awesome.
They say in the old saying, make your spares and the strikes will come. Well, that's not necessarily true on the Pro Bowlers Tours. This is the strike percentage on the first ball of each player as they bowled all week long, and whoever got the most strikes was a higher finisher.
Mark getting a little help, cross lane, getting his strike, and he needed it in the 5th frame.
Mark gets a tremendous break as the ball comes in light, and with that power, he takes the head pin, a 3-pound, 7-ounce head pin, and he drives it to the left sideboard, comes around, takes out the 10. He can get right back in the match with a double.
Bo and I, this is a view we get. We have a pillar almost blocking our view, but not really.
Palmer Falgren to my right, keeping score. Finished 27th this week. Now, for the double, Mark Baker.
That's it. So, as they say, the game is on. 12 pins now. This is the second match. Very pivotal. If you just joined us, Weber won the first over David Husted, 245 to 201. And the winner of this game move into the semifinal match against the PBA Rookie of the Year, Ryan Shafer, 21-year-old pro from Elmira, New York. Four in a row. Make it 5 after an open frame to begin.
Pete really getting in the rhythm. You see him just snapping that wrist through every shot. It's that tremendous wrist action that gives him the high revolution on his bowling ball, the tremendous carry that has allowed him to be one of the premier players today. And once again, I reiterate, this has been a strike tournament. Spares are important, obviously, to make, but if you can't throw a lot of strikes, you can't contend in this tournament. Pete Weber using the full grip, looking for 6th strike.
So he is stringing them now. And in Atlantic City, they have a string going in the Miss America contest that was then.
chocolate pudding and yellow cake.
Ooh, new Hostess pudding takes your sweet sensation.
Ooh, what a moist and creamy combination.
Moist yellow cake.
Chocolatey icing on top.
Pudding in the middle, Hostess, please don't stop. New Hostess pudding takes your sweet sensation. New Hostess pudding takes your sweet sensation.
In every town in America, there's always one place that does a little bit better job of fixing your car. And it seems the things they all have in common are great mechanics, great service, and Napa parts.
Well, spring is here, and to make sure your car takes the change of seasons in perfect stride, stop by your Napa Auto Care Center now for our spring specials. Look for the sign of Quality Car Care. Napa.
Next Saturday on ABC Sports, bowling's best head to New England. Next stop, $40,000 Greater Hartford Open on ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour.
If there was ever pressure on a 21-year-old, it's on Ryan Shafer. Doesn't seem to bother him. He'll meet the winner of the Baker-Weber match in the semifinal game.
Now Mark Baker doing a little housekeeping on the approach. He trails by 32 pins through 6 frame, has 2 strikes up, can cut the lead of Pete Weber's to 22 with a 3rd strike. Important shot.
And another 10 pin for Mark Baker on the right lane.
Mark Baker plagued by 10 pins so far. He started with 2 strikes, 10 pin in the 3rd, 10 pin in the 4th, and once again the 10 pin here in the 7th frame as you see the Nick Baker family, Mr. and Mrs. Baker, who flew in from California to enjoy their son's performance here. Now, Mark, important spare.
All right. So we got an answer to what does winning the United States Open mean to you, Mark Baker?
I finished second in the Tournament Players Championship, and I finished second in the Firestone Tournament Champions. Winning this tournament would be great just because Seagram's put all this money in this tournament to make our sport as big as every other sport. This would mean a world to me.
Well said.
Well, he thinks prestige starts with a dollar sign, and that's pretty much true if you do this for a living. Now, Baker in a must situation.
Well, it won't hurt. It'll help you purchase another 911 Porsche.
Well, Billy Hardwick, who is a Triple Crown winner and has won the U.S. Open before, once told me you can't eat the trophies, and that's for sure. Here's Mark Baker through 32 games of qualifying. He led the qualifying, that number 1, then 24 match plays, dropped to 3rd position, needs to work to hold on to that spot.
Mark Baker looking up at Nick and Vicky Schaefer. Pleasant young man, 27 years old, and Pete Weber is 25. Father of 2. 6 in a row. Seven in a row. The last coming in the 8th frame. He had 8 strikes in his first game victory over Houston, 245 to 201.
Pete Weber, just as Palmer Fahlgren, our statistician, said, when he gets loose as he did in the first game, it means trouble for the other players. And so far, it's been major trouble for Mark Baker. And it's really not Baker's undoing. Baker could have 8 strikes in a row also. But Weber has this match well in hand. A strike here in the 9th frame would give him a potential 279 and lock up the match. He'd go against Ryan Shafer.
Oh, that 9th frame. There's so much to bowling. It looks like a simple game. It is complex.
Right now.
Our tip of the week will feature how to adjust your ball weights to various lane conditions.
And Weber had the right weight on that replay as he trips the 4. Now Baker, possible 225. Mark Baker bowling as well in a championship round as I've ever seen him play before. He's won 3 PBA titles and will be in the Firestone Tournament of Champions. But he has not had any good luck so far today. 9 consecutive balls in the pocket, 4 10-pins. He missed one of those. Best he can shoot is 225. Weber en route to a 250 or better game.
Mark today making his 20th television appearance in his 8-year career, and today it's the story of 10 pins for the Californian.
Well, all these bad breaks for all this money, I'm not saying he would have won the match, but he'd have made it very close with Weber if he had just carried a few of those 10 pins. We'll come back somewhere down the line, and he'll have a good break later on this year.
So now it'll be interesting to see how Pete Weber will do against the Rookie of the Year, Ryan Shafer. That match coming up next from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Today's Old Spice Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice, the clean, classic scent men love.
Today's bowling tip, we deal with ball weight. Not the total weight, but the top weight and the bottom weight of a bowling ball. A bowling ball is manufactured with more weight in the top of the ball so that a driller can have that weight to drill out to make it balance pretty much all the way around and roll evenly down the lane. But what we have found on the Professional Bowlers Tour is if you have your driller drill a ball with extra top weight in it, that the ball will roll more efficiently down the lane and hit with more power on almost all lane conditions. Every once in a while, we'll drill a ball so it comes out with bottom weight. We only use this when the lanes are extremely slick and if you're a power player. So when you go to your pro shop, ask your pro driller to drill a ball with top weight to match your game.
What kind of man whistled the Old Spice tune?
He's my daddy.
My practically perfect husband.
You can count on him.
He's the captain of my ship.
He's a friend.
The Old Spice man, a man's man.
Clean, refreshing Old Spice. It's the favorite scent of the American man, and he'll never change his tune.
And I love him for it.
Old Spice.
Now let Bo help you score even more. You'll also fix problems, improve strategy, and practice smarter with Bo Burton's new bowling video.
This video is for you.
ABC Sports and Old Spice bring you Bo Burton's new instructional video, Score More. Just $24.98 plus $3 shipping. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR. That's 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
Here at the United States Open, what consistency. Pete Weber winning the first 2 games, identical scores, the same number of strikes. 8 in each game now goes against a rookie, a non-winner named Ryan Shafer. And what a match it should be with the tournament leader, Marshall Holman, waiting in the wings. And speaking of wings, not far from here, a luncheon with the pros, 600 checking in, and look at them. They're loving every minute of where there were about 12 or 13 professionals that talked to them and explained professional bowling, and they're having fun. There's John Petraglia, Joe Berardi.
Some of the other, Pete McCordick, Mark Roth, U.S. Open winner, Bud Fisher, Chuck Pisano, there's Brian Voss, Walter Ray Williams, Bob Benoit, Del Ballard, the defending champion, have been answering questions for that capacity group of about 800 people in there. Chris, it's an overflow crowd from the bowling center. This is live action, and hopefully they're enjoying, as we can see, the U.S. Open Finals. We're down to the semifinal game. It will be Ryan Shafer coming up against Pete Weber.
And let me tell you, that luncheon will set a trend. I think it's a great idea as we look at the tournament leader, Marshall Holman. Loose. He has to wait another game before he competes. We'll be back.
When Radio Shack put their $849 computer on sale for only $599, I just had to have it because it runs the same IBM PC software I use at the office. I got this complete system, including color monitor, for only $899. And it came with 7 programs in one, like word processing, budgeting. My wife uses it to run her catering business.
Homework, Dad.
They use it so much, I'm thinking of getting my own.
Save $250 on a Tandy 1000 SX, only $599 with software. Complete system only $899 at Radio Shack.
Home is where where the heart is, where you've got to start, where the sweetest part is. Feel the warmth of my mama's kitchen and taste the goodness of home. Welcome home, welcome back to Kentucky Fried Chicken. A little bit of home in your hand. You're never too far, so come as you are. Kentucky Fried Chicken is home.
For great personal service and low everyday prices, check the lineup at your neighborhood True Value hardware store. The Royal Flusher Plunger by GT Water Products is the April True Value of the month. Its funneled nose fits any drain, and the bellows design delivers more power per push. Plus, the Royal Flusher has a handy storage base. In April, it's just $3.99, where you see the banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Every day, Jack Taylor and Joe Donovan take the same road home. But today, they went a little out of their way.
Give you a hand.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser.
This Bud's.
For all the guys who go out of their way.
This Bud's for you.
Our 15th stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour will take us to Windsor Locks, Connecticut, a week from today for the finals of the Greater Hartford Open.
Chris, that's a wonderful tournament. I had the good luck of winning that tournament twice, and then on to the final stop on this year's 1980 PBT, the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
All right. And the man that's won the first two games by identical scores, 245 with 8 strikes in each event, Pete Weber, will shoot first.
Pete has all the leverage going, averaging 245. He's going against the Rookie of the Year, Ryan Shafer, who was not picked by anybody in today's press luncheon to win this tournament that I spoke with. So with that in mind, the advantage to Weber, but Shafer's a tough opponent.
Unlike his first two games, he has opened with a strike. Opened in both the two victories, but then strung them. Pete Weber, 25 years old. Youngest in the field, 21-year-old Ryan Shafer, 5'7", 135. Looking for the first win. First shot, right lane. Cranker at the line, leaving the 10-pin.
Solid 10. Hopefully that doesn't happen to him as many times as it happened to Mark Baker in the previous game. As we take a look at the profile of Ryan Shafer, Rookie of the Year, just contorts that body, then gets it in the proper position with that pivot step, snaps that wrist through the ball, raises up at the line.
Youth.
All power.
Cross lane. 10-pin. Now a little sigh of relief. That first frame is over here in the semifinal game. The winner to meet, Marshall Holman.
Ryan Shafer has a somewhat unique style of spotting his target. We try to teach the arrows. I feel that's the best way because it keeps your chin up, your shoulders level, unless you reach forward out over the lane. But he spots at the dots, which are just 7 feet past the foul line. And when you spot that close, you really feel your target. You don't really see it because the ball goes by it so quickly.
High hit. What power. Strike in the second for Schaefer of Elmira, New York. He has a brother and sister watching. His parents are in attendance here.
As we say on the Pro Tour, there's nothing left in the bag here among these 5 players. All power players, all, as if you like the term, crankers. Whoever using that full grip, using that glove for a better feel of the ball and a little security to his hand can start with a double.
He leaves a 10-pin on the right lane, Pete Weber.
Weber, who has struck on 72% of his strike attempts in the first 2 games, as he's bowled 245, 245. Had a percentage not quite that high during the 56-game tournament.
Precariously close in covering that 10-pin, believe me. Giving it a long, sort of a mean look. As we said, his father, Dick Weber, is here, but Juanita Weber, his mom, watching at home, she can't really handle being in person watching her son compete.
The man who has over 30 perfect games on the PBA Tour rolled his first 300 game at the age of 12, up third frame.
Three strikes and 3 frames for Pete Weber. Now Ryan Shafer, Rookie of the Year. Opened with a spare, marked with a strike. Shooting on the right lane. Uses, well, but about 6 inches of the approach.
Watch that wrist action at the point of release. Just snaps that ball.
(1987) won the All Events title, the American Bowling Congress competition.
There's his parents, Vicky Schaefer on the right, the father, Art, on the left. From Elmira, New York, not too far from here, upstate New York, pretty near where we're going to bowl next week, the Hartford Open.
Sneaks to the line as we get a contrast here.
The style of Pete Weber, the 1980 Rookie of the Year on the left, and Ryan Shafer, the 1987 Rookie of the Year on the right. Their wrist action is similar, but their arm swings are much different. Weber with that really high arm swing, Shafer with that very low arm swing. But see the wrist of Ryan Shafer, look at it snap around. See the wrist of Pete Weber, see that snap. High revolution, very volatile balls, tremendous strike balls. And they live by the strikes. Match is all even.
And a 7-pin on the left lane for Ryan Shafer. All of our telecasts and all of our championship events pressure, but this one in particular, we replay that last shot.
The action of the 4-pin over in the left-hand part of the screen is knocked out by the 2-pin. Normally, the 2-pin will drive the 4-pin straight back into the 7. Schaefer, so much power on the ball. The action was too quick, and so far he has been solid in the pocket. All 4 frames, has only been rewarded with 1 strike.
Continuing to mark, Ryan Shafer, the third match today from Atlantic City. That's the way it looked then. We'll be back.
Do it yourself. Do it for yourself. Do yourself proud with Minwax and Wood.
Wood finish for beautiful color like no other. And Minwax polyurethane for fast drying protection that lasts.
Do yourself proud with Minwax and Wood.
What's going on?
It's the Monroe free ride sale. Buy 3 Monroe shocks or struts and get a 4th shock free.
Great. I'll give the old dinosaur a better ride.
See your Monroe ride expert soon.
Do you want to take a few seconds to make your car look better? Okay, when you finish washing it, do the tires with Armor All Protectant. You can do a tire in about 15 seconds. Go on, try it. Oh, now, if the tires look new, is that okay?
It's no big deal.
Brake jobs?
It's Mastercare Car Service. Premium brake jobs. Terrific warranty.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. Mastercare Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
Coming up tomorrow.
Catch the McDonald's High School All-American basketball game on ABC Sports. You may learn some new moves. I may learn a few myself.
Then, Cart's final race before Indy, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. All live tomorrow on ABC Sports.
The United States Open, co-sponsored by the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. Its president, from a bowling family, Sonny France of Louisville, Kentucky, and its executive director there on the left, Chief Mopinski from Dallas, Texas.
Have hosted this tournament all the way back since the inception of time, just about 1941. We talked about the BPAA All-Star Tournament. Now Pete Weber has a 1-pin lead. Coming up in the 4th frame, has a strike up, can extend that lead to over Ryan Shafer to 11 with a strike here.
Carefully setting himself in the right lane. Marshall Holman off to our right. He's the tournament leader, watching the action occasionally, practicing. Looks like a thin hit, but got them all.
The type of ball that these players roll today is just fantastic for the light hit. You've seen Ryan Shafer be solid in the pocket in 3 of the 4 frames, and those are the 3 frames that he didn't strike. The one that was slightly off, he struck on. With Pete Weber, if he can keep the ball light there, his strike percentage has got to be 90% or better. Makes those pins dance. The full grip, inserting his fingers down just to the first knuckle. Weber can take a 21-pin lead.
High hit. Lucky, leaving only the 10.
You're right, Chris. He really got a good break. He did basically what we call quit on the ball. He started up to the foul line. He intended to go all the way through very confidently with a shot. Must have pulled his head slightly off the target. That triggers a subconscious quit on the ball, and he just barely avoided the split.
Sticking a little bit as he covered the 10-pin successfully in the 5th frame. And now Ryan Shafer.
A little saying they have on the Pro Bowlers Tour, just too much toy. And he is just ripping those finger holes out, letting that wrist roll behind the ball, and on these synthetic lanes, just energizing the pins beyond their capability to fall down. They're fighting each other to fall down, and actually drove the 2-pin right over the top of the 4 and 7 pins. Schaefer has thrown 5 quality shots, doesn't have much to show for it yet. He will trail by 12 pins after this conversion.
Second time ever on television, Ryan Shafer. First was in the 86 Brunswick Memorial World Open. We asked him about what it means winning today.
Well, this U.S. Open means a lot to me because the first part of this year was terrible, coming off my Rookie of the Year season. And I thought maybe my Rookie of the Year season was a fluke, but being in the finals in this tournament with 4 great bowlers and with all the money up front, this is my career.
Wonderful remark, isn't it?
21 years old. Trails by 12, 6th frame.
And Nelson, if practice makes perfect, he'd win the award.
That's for sure. I asked him how he worked out of his slump, and he just said every idle moment he had when he wasn't bowling in a professional tournament, he went out and practiced. He was on the road, he'd hunt up another bowling center. When he was at home at Elmira, he'd work out 4 or 5 hours a day, and that's the way to be a great professional. You have to spend a full-time job working at it more than 40 hours a week. If you want to make this type of money, you have to really put out.
Another good break. Coming in the 6th frame with a strike and a close match.
Same shot that Pete Weber had in the 4th frame. He comes in light on lane 50, just saws that 5 out, driving out in the 4-7, and has set himself up in a position where he can take a 22-pin lead, and he'll need every bit of it against this young man. He is really, really hanging tough in there. I think if it gets close near the 10th, he'll surprise Pete Weber.
Pete now with a re-rack on the left lane. Immediately following this, the Baja 1000, the Grand National Steeplechase, a look at the Holyfield de Leon Championship bout, cruiserweight, and that was a beauty.
Holyfield, a great fighter, and de Leon, no pushover himself, and that Grand National race, 4.5 miles over 30 jumps as Pete Weber contemplates en routes for this young man up here.
Looking for his first United States Open win, this man, his dad, had 4. We'll be back.
Dave, new phones come on Monday.
Right.
Computer Thursday. And I think we're ready for that bookkeeper.
Oh, great. Does she load boxes?
Dave, I got us the extra truck.
My partner, Santa Claus.
You can't always prepare for success, but you can count on Ryder to help you handle it with the right truck at the right time.
What about a driver?
David, you're doing a great job.
Ryder. We're there at every turn.
No big deal. Tune-ups? It's MasterCare Car Service. Great tune-ups with a computer that talks to your car.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. MasterCare Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
Is the place. $477 buys you either 25 Ace Silver Sack trash bags or the Simple Green Concentrated All-Purpose Cleaner.
I know football, but I don't know this stuff. Hey, let me tell you, Ace is a place for me.
Next Saturday on ABC Sports, bowling's best heads to New England. Next stop, the $40,000 Greater Hartford Open on ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour.
We're delighted to have Mr. and Mrs. Mark Bozzini. Mark, the National Product Manager, Seagram Beverage Company. Second year that Seagram's has embraced this bowling proprietors event, the United States Open. $100,000 this afternoon to the winner. Semifinal game. This man trailing by 22 can cut it to 12. 7th frame. Reverted to split 4-7 again.
Ryan Shafer sent that ball extremely wide, and it looked like it was going to come back solid in the pocket, but it hooked too high. What happens with these cranker power players, when they miss to the right, they end up going high. When they miss to the left, they end up light. See, this ball goes all the way out to about the 3rd board, if you like it, on the plastic lanes, and it breaks too much. If he had kept that around the 7th board, it wouldn't have hooked quite as much. It's a terrific break, knocking out the 3, 6, and 10 pins.
Imagine that, 21 years old, and in his second only television appearance. In the semifinal game, having finished second out of a field of 240, if he could win, would be in the final game where the winner will get $100,000, the runner-up 55, which this man was a year ago. Finished second to Del Ballard. Ballard, in this year's event, finished 70th.
Critical situation for Ryan Shafer. 8th frame, he trails by 22 pins.
Beautiful strike. 8th frame.
Now Pete Weber, who is really into it today, he's concentrating. He can feel that victory, as you said, Chris, but he can't take this young Ryan Shafer lightly. Shafer's been all over the pocket. Hasn't had anything really good happen to him. But Weber can put him away with 2 strikes here, 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th.
Bagger, that inbred competitive spirit that came right from Juanita and Dick Weber, and of course the great spirit. And tomorrow, All-American High School basketball, McDonald's.
One of the great games, and of course the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Watch out for the Andretti's in that race. Live, except on the West Coast.
Now that's a doubleheader, a beauty. Tomorrow here on ABC.
Pete Weber, gauntlet in hand, can knock out Ryan Shafer with 1 more strike here in the 9th.
Weber's success today at stringing them when it was necessary is really standing him in good stead.
Watch the action of the third pin on the left-hand part of your screen. The ball enters the 1 and 3 pocket. The 2 pin goes to sideboard, twists between the 4 and 7 pins, and that little topple is going to allow Marshall Holman to lock up this match against Schaefer and go, Weber lock it up against, go against Marshall Holman.
Okay, and sort of a resignation smile from this really likable, talented Ryan Shafer from Elmira, New York. So now it's another 10 pin.
The best Schaefer can do is 207 with a spare here. Pete Weber is looking at a possible 259 in the driver's seat.
And the loser of this match will pick up a check for $30,000. It's a nice figure.
Not bad at all, and really the score is not indicative of how well Ryan Shafer has bowled in this match. Look at his game. 10-pin, strike, 10-pin, 7-pin, 4-7, strike, 4-7, and then a 7-pin against in the 9th frame as you see the fidgeting hand of Pete Weber, who will go against Marshall Holman for the championship.
Ryan Shafer, who last night in the position round game defeated Marshall Holman by 14 pins. But with that last shot, there you see Mom and Dad, Art and Vicky Shafer.
Bit disappointed, but their son has many a good year ahead of him on the Professional Bowlers Tour. He bowled a good game, just had no breaks at all.
So the championship match is set. 2 great bowlers, Pete Weber against 2-time Open winner Marshall Holman.
Is there some sort of problem?
Seagram's peach.
Well, it's smooth, like your skin.
Wild berries.
Luscious, like your lips.
Come with me.
See, it's Seagram's golden. Sparkles, like your eyes. Anything for world peace.
Imagine doing this to your car. It's unthinkable. Yet some car waxes and polishes contain abrasives that can scratch your car. Introducing new Armor All Car Wax with no harsh abrasives, with a polishing ingredient so fine it won't scratch your car. Armor All Car Wax. It shines and protects, but it won't scratch. China Beach, coming April 26th.
This brand air conditioner is out here in these mean conditions and corrosive salt air for just one reason. It's being tested to make sure your Bryant has the right stuff to last. Right now, Bryant dealers are offering the right stuff too. Call one today and ask for details on Bryant's 2-month free electricity offer.
Logan Pass, Montana and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Logan Pass means trailblazing, exploring the wilderness of Glacier National Park. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place, an Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
Guys, it just doesn't get any better than this.
Watch Janelle Stelson with weather on 27 News at 6.
Hello, I'm Frank Gifford, and today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, one of the wildest and most treacherous traditions in the world of sports, England's Grand National Steeplechase. And through the barren landscape of Mexico's Baja Peninsula, a grueling off-road race, the Baja 1000. Also action from last week's unification title fight between Evander Holyfield and Carlos de Leon. We'll return after the final game of bowling. Now back to you, Chris.
All right, thank you very much, Frank. And here in Atlantic City, it's the Showboat Lanes. Pete Weber has won his third match. 7 strikes, shooting a .236. Ryan Shafer's 179. We now go to the championship match. Weber-Holman. We go to 2 champions on the approaches, Bo and Dick Weber.
Thank you, Chris. The host here and the daddy of the man who's going to bowl for the championship, Pete Weber. He looks pretty good so far, Dick.
He certainly does, Bo. He's pretty sharp. Of course, the other fellows didn't get quite the breaks that he got, but that's what you have to do to win. You need those breaks, and you've been through that before, and I know what your daddy was thinking when you won the U.S. Open before.
Well, it's a little bit different. First place, $100,000 on the line here. And secondly, let's face it, there's really no love lost between Marshall Holman and Pete Weber. Last year, everybody thought, some people thought that Pete Weber should be Player of the Year. Marshall Holman ended up with that title. This is a way to take it all out in one game. They could pretty much make that judgment for the bowling writers right here in one game.
Well, that's for sure, Bo. There's no bitterness really between them, but they respect each other tremendously, and I respect Marshall tremendously. He's a heck of a bowler, but I think also my son Pete is a great bowler. And so I gave you a prediction in the other room that Pete would win 268 to 258.
All right, Chris, thank you very much, Dick. 268, 258. He thinks Pete will be the champion. We'll know in about 18 minutes.
Okay, there's the handshake. Marshall Holman, who can move into the number 2 spot today and money earned way over $1,250,000. And 25-year-old Pete Weber has already won $798,000. Last year, 179. The previous year, 174. He is something to behold at such a young age. High hit leaving the 4-pin on the left lane. The title match for the United States Open Championship and $100,000. Pete, notice here in the first frame, he was very, very patient, good tempo in his first 3 victories. He very much in a hurry in the first frame, Bo.
Very much so, Chris, and he has not had any strikes in the first frames. He's had open, and now he starts with a spare, so it really hasn't had any bearing on the rest of the match, but you can't give away even 1 frame in professional bowling. Now, our tournament leader.
Leaving a 10-pin, just knocking the 7 out at the last minute. He has won 2 United States Opens, 1981 and 85, 2 Firestone Tournament of Champions. This is why.
You're right, Chris. Just the tremendous style of Marshall Holman, that steady head. Everything goes in one plane. He doesn't raise up at the line. He stays the exact same level as he starts out his approach. Very similar to one of the great players of all time, George Young.
Marshall was 5th in last year's United States Open, whereas Weber was 2nd. So Marshall will move up, and Pete Weber hopes he will a notch. What a battle. $155,000 at stake, and there's one head-to-head match live from the Showboat in Atlantic City.
You cannot practice for the pressure that is upon these 2 players, but what you can do is have a game plan. As you see, Marshall Holman's route to the top spot. He qualified 3rd at 32 games and immediately took the number 1 position and never headed.
Here's the old Holman. 90-second telecast. Over the years that we've been able to comment about this 33-year-old from Medford, Oregon.
Going back what I was saying, Chris, is how can you practice or prepare for a championship match of such pressure? It really is mental. The physical game both these players have, just 2 of the finest games in the world today. It's the guy who can keep his eyes on the target all the way through every single shot. I think if they don't let their eyes drift off their target through every frame, they'll be awfully tough to beat.
Another 10-pin for Pete Weber. I remember Edwin Moses, the great hurdler, said that in the big events, it's 80% of the shoulders.
Boy, there's no doubt about that.
And for Pete Weber, who won the first 3 matches with 23 total strikes, looking for his first here in the title game, opening with 2 spares.
Pete averaging 242, wiping the conditioner or lane oil off his ball. Not nearly as much oil used on synthetic lanes as, say, wood lanes, about 1/3 the amount, because it's not absorbed down in the surface and there's very little dispersion through the evaporation rate. Now, Weber up, third frame, trails by 1.
Would you believe another 10?
He's saying, why now? And he knows what has happened. As a player bowls long, what happens is he doesn't quite get the finish on the ball. As you see Weber going around the second arrow out to about the 4th board. Now the ball or conditioner has carried a little bit farther down the lane. The ball doesn't finish as much, and he leaves the 10 pin.
Between the two professionals, Holman and Weber, 31 PBA titles. 4 majors for this man off to the right there, the red coat. That's Al Hoff, the manager of the lanes. He and Pat Mathis doing a wonderful job for this prestigious event. And Marshall now with a 10 pin on the right lane, his second.
Marshall with an interesting method of shooting spares. He uses the same ball, but he spins the ball. Just like a top. Watch his hand go right over the top of the ball. He takes the roll from between around the thumb and fingers and drops it way down to the bottom of the ball. It will not bite the lane. It's actually a dead roll. It's a mistake that a lot of amateurs make trying to throw the big hook. They go over the top of it. Watch the spin shot. See it spin? It won't bite the lane at all.
Okay, a man who's won 2 opens. We asked him what it would mean winning a 3rd here.
Well, it's an opportunity to win my 3rd U.S. Open. Also, it puts me in a position to jump across Mark Roth and Earl Anthony into the #1 spot, all-time leading money winner on the PBA Tour. That'd be quite a thrill.
And what a nice change. Very much deserved by all the professionals that I feel have the toughest time on the road in competing. The professional bowlers, they deserve every penny they get.
So thank you, Chris. Now, Weber, 4th frame.
A 4 for Marshall on the left lane, and he shows his feelings.
Holman, who led this tournament by 442 pins, just lapped this field of 240 players, drifts a little bit high on the left lane, leaves the 4 pin.
And one of those 9 pros that had 300 games, I think a total of 12 in the Pro-Am and overall.
You're right, 12 ties the record set in Greensboro, North Carolina, as Holman.
Oh, it's a close match. And we'll be back with more.
Okay, listen up. Oakley here is filling in for Bob tonight.
For 3 years, Bill Oakley took orders. But tonight, he's got to stand up and take charge.
You make America work.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser. For all the guys who know it's not what you say, but what you do.
I stained this last year, and it's fading already. Why?
You didn't protect it with Thompson's Water Seal stain, the only stain that contains Thompson's Water Seal. It protects the color in the wood better than the leading brand. Thompson's Water Seal stain. Beauty that lasts at last.
It's more effective than the leading men's deodorant. It's been proven better in clinical tests at blocking odor. It's Old Spice Fast Track Wide Deodorant. It blocks odor better.
With $100,000 at stake to the winner in our live telecast, the United States Open at the Showboat in Atlantic City, pressure is really showing. Pace has slowed down, but bowling has changed. More spares, because this is the man that had 23 strikes with his 3 victories this afternoon. 3 spares, now shooting in the 4th frame. And again, best he can do is mark with a spare. Richard Weber Florissant, Missouri, originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, where the Open will be 2 years from now.
And as Pete converts the 9-pin, he's been in the pocket all 4 frames, 4-pin, 10-pin, 10-pin, and once again the 9-pin. And next year, we will have the $500,000 Seagram's U.S. Open in Edmond, Oklahoma. But right now, the champion is yet to be decided. Only 2 pins separate these players after 4 frames. Weber in arrears.
There it is. First strike in the championship match for the winner of the first 3 games.
Automatic pin setters, ball pins being taken up there, put into what they call the turret, and it rotates each time a pin comes in. Once 10 pins are inserted, it drops down in the pin deck. 21 pins are used so that 10 are on the lane, 10 are in the turret or pin deck, and 1 extra just in case Holman drives one out of there on this shot.
Oh, and then this 3, 6, 7, 10. You hate to see that happen in a game this important, this big.
Marshall a little soft with the shot, goes high, leaves the 3, 6, 7, 10. Has to slide the 3 pin over into the 7. The ball will take out the 6 and 10 pins. He can make this.
Another example of why he's won 21 PBA titles, 2 Opens, 2 Firestones, and the hearts of many.
What a big shot in a critical situation. He went from a possibility of trailing in this match by 13 pins to just trailing by 2 pins. He's still in it.
That can be an unnerving shot, too.
Very much so. There's 2 real psychological hits in bowling, Chris. One is being able to rip that rack out with a big swishing power ball and put it on your opponent. We know both these guys can do that. That and the other one is to make a very tough split. Let's see what happens the last 5 frames.
And his third 10-pin. Still close. Remember, Weber has a spare up when he gets back shooting. Right now, he's contemplating. Look at those legs moving up and down. When he's out on the approach, they're trembling. In fact, all of them. This is competition and pressure at its finest. And would you believe, perhaps the world's greatest currently, missing the 10-pin. Wow. Pressure.
All right, you watch the styles of these 2 great stars. You say 2 of the best. Right now, the consensus best by the bowling writers is the man on the right, Marshall Holman, with that low backswing, everything under control. The player that some people feel is better than he, the man on the left, young Pete Weber, with that high-powered backswing. Right now, Weber could take a commanding 24-pin lead with a strike in the 6th.
Up until the last 2 frames, there was never more than 3 pins separating these 2 greats. And the split made, converted by Holman, an open frame, and a double now by Weber.
Boy, that missed spare, you can predict it every time on the professional bowlers tour. As a guy goes by a simple spare, he'll almost bet his opponent throws a double, as you see Pete Weber's reaction to that big double. Now he can really put the pressure on Holman with a 3rd strike, take a 34-pin lead.
Crossing over, leaving the 6-10. And Bo, I've come to Atlantic City to do championship horse racing, championship boxing, a judge of Miss America a couple of years ago. This is the toughest afternoon we've experienced with the pressure, tension.
It's really showing up in this championship game, both players.
One glance up at his dad, Dick Weber. Marshall looking at the overhead score monitors. Better break that time. Open victories in 81 and 85.
Marshall Holman, who was quoted in the paper this morning as saying, "Whoever bowls me today is going to be scared to death. The $100,000 will put the fear in him." Right now, he trails by 22 pins, and he has a chance of losing that $100,000 as he quickly looks at that left sole. Very important that your shoes are in the proper condition. You don't want to stick at this critical time. Big hit.
Wobbly 7 on that left lane.
I have no idea what's going through his mind. He felt like his power would take out that 7-pin, and it doesn't happen in just such an important situation. Holman trails by 22.
Not happy. Walking back to the settee. Up now, Pete Weber, spare working, 8th frame. Striking the 8th. Now the 9th, where he has excelled in his first 3 victories. Leading by 22 could increase it.
Cannot lock up the match if he strikes here, but he could be well on his way to making it very easy for himself if he can throw a double. The pressure showing up, pressure on Daddy's face. He knows how to keep score. Pete Weber going at a 2:05 pace with this conversion. Marshall Holman a potential 2:03. The title is still up for grabs.
So again, the Bowling Proprietors Association of America and Seagram's Coolers getting a tremendous championship. Next year it'll be in Edmonds, Oklahoma, near Oklahoma City. Foundation strike for Marshall.
Boy, he would have loved to have
we're
that.
First.
He'd love to have that shot in the 8th frame. But Marshall, for him, has 52 out of 56 200 games this week, and he would love to have one right here and put some pressure on Holman. Marshall Holman on Weber. Marshall Holman cannot win the tournament if he doesn't strike on this ball. Absolutely must strike.
There it is again. Name of the game, the 10-pin.
Weber knows who won the match. No love lost. There's been some words said out there. Holman says, "Forget it, I can't win, I'll get it over with."
All right, so it's a second major for this thin, trim, 25-year-old from Falls, Missouri, joining his father as the United States Open champion to go along with his Firestone. What a win for Pete Weber. And a tough loss for Marshall Holman. 55. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By True Value Hardware Stores. It's more than our name. It's our way of doing business. And by MasterCare Car Service by Firestone. Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal.
Well, let me get this straight.
You get 3 wishes.
Okay. Put me on a tropical island. Nice. Now, how about a beautiful island woman?
Your third wish?
You've done plenty, my man. Make yourself the best Seagram's cooler ever.
Introducing Seagram's Island Tropics.
If I'm dreaming, don't wake me. You come here often?
Savages? Nah, guys with irritated skin from shaving. Try new Aqua Velva Skin Conditioning Aftershave. Hey, it's creamy. Guys prefer its soothing formula.
And fragrance. There's something about new Aqua Velva Skin Conditioning Aftershave.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
It's no big deal.
Brake jobs?
It's Mastercare Car Service. Premium brake jobs. Terrific warranty.
Finally, taking care of your car is no big deal. Mastercare Car Service by Firestone.
I thought they just sold tires.
Next, the grueling challenge of the Baja 1000, plus the Grand National Steeplechase, and a look at the Holyfield De Leon title bout on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
After a tearful embrace, Pete Weber and his dad Dick are down on the approach. Pete has just won his first United States Open title. His dad has 4, 203 to 171, and there is Dad, a happy dad. Mark Bozzini, who is National Product Manager, Seagram Beverage Company. Sonny France, President of the BPAA, and Chief Wapinski, with the spoils of victory, a great one for Pete Weber. Coming up next, ABC's Wide World of Sports presents the Baja 1000, a grueling off-road race, plus the wild ride of the Grand National Steeplechase, and a look at the Holyfield De Leon Cruiserweight Championship. And tomorrow begins on ABC Sports with the McDonald's All-American High School basketball game, followed by the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Weber 203, Holman 171 for Nelson Burton. This is Chris Schenkel saying so long from Atlantic City.